In the early 1700s, the great oceans were not filled with happy adventurers. They were highways of trade, patrolled by massive navy ships and hard-working merchant vessels. This time was called the Golden Age of Piracy, but the reason for it was anything but golden. Life for a normal sailor was incredibly hard. The giant wooden ships they called home were often like floating prisons. Sailors were crowded into small, dark spaces below deck, with little fresh air and constant dampness. This was a perfect place for sickness to spread quickly from person to person. The food was even worse. A sailor's main meal was often a hard, dry biscuit. After weeks at sea, these biscuits would be filled with tiny black bugs called weevils. The meat was so salty, it was barely possible to eat. Fresh water was rare, and what they had often turned slimy and green. On top of the sickness and bad food, the rules were very strict. A small mistake could lead to a big punishment. Captains had total control over their crew, and many were cruel. For these sailors, the sea was not a place of freedom. It was a place of fear and hard work with very little reward. So many sailors made a dangerous choice. They chose to become pirates. It was a short life and a risky one, but it was a free life. They could vote for their captain and share the treasure equally. For them, it was better than the life they left behind. But one young man had a different reason to seek his fortune on the sea. His name was Samuel Bellamy, a poor sailor from England. He wasn't driven by anger or escape. He was driven by love. Bellamy had sailed to a town called Cape Cod in America. There, he met and fell in love with a local girl named Maria Hallett. But Maria's parents were wealthy. They looked at the poor young sailor and said no. They told Bellamy he could not marry their daughter unless he could give her a life of riches. So Bellamy promised Maria he would return as a rich man. His first plan was not to be a pirate. He decided to become a treasure hunter. He heard stories of a great treasure lost at sea, a treasure big enough to win Maria's hand. His target was the famous 1715 Spanish treasure fleet, a whole group of Spanish ships filled with gold, silver, and jewels from the New World had sunk in a hurricane off the coast of Florida. It was one of the greatest lost treasures in history, and Bellamy was going to find it. With money from sponsors, Bellamy and a small crew sailed south to the Florida coast. They dove into the water again and again, searching the wrecks for fortune. But they found almost nothing. The sea did not give up its secrets easily. The mission was a failure, and their money was gone. Bellamy was left with a choice: return to Maria, a failure, or find another way to get rich on the high seas. Sam Bellamy was called the Prince of Pirates. He wasn't just a thief looking for gold. He saw himself as a hero, a kind of Robin Hood on the high seas. He believed the rich merchants and kings were the real villains, and he was just taking back what they had stolen from poor people. This idea shaped everything he did. In a famous moment, he captured a ship led by a man named Captain Beer. Instead of being cruel, Bellamy explained his beliefs. He felt that honest sailors were treated badly by the rich, while pirates lived free and equal. His crew wasn't just a crew, they were a team fighting for a cause. This thinking made his pirates fiercely loyal. They weren't just following orders for treasure. They believed in their captain's vision of a fairer world. When Bellamy spoke to Captain Beer, he called him a sneaking puppy for serving greedy men, proving that his fight was about ideas, not just gold. With this loyal crew, Bellamy built a powerful fleet. His greatest skill wasn't fighting, but avoiding it. He knew that bloody battles damaged ships and lost good men. So he became a master of intimidation, a clever way of winning without a single sword fight. His method was simple but scary. First, his ship would raise the Jolly Roger, the famous pirate flag with a skull. Then, a single cannonball would be fired, not at the ship, but just in front of it. It was a warning shot. After that, the rest of Bellamy's fleet would appear from all directions, surrounding the target. The effect was amazing. Most captains would see they were trapped and simply give up. This smart tactic meant Bellamy captured ships that were in perfect condition. It also meant that many sailors from the captured ships were so impressed they would volunteer to join his pirate crew. Then, one day, the ultimate prize appeared on the ocean. It was a ship that would seal Bellamy's name in history forever. This ship was the Whydah Gally. The Whydah was a masterpiece. It was a brand new 100-foot-long ship built for incredible speed. For its time, it was like a sports car of the sea, packed with powerful cannons. And on its very first trip, it was already filled with a massive treasure of gold, silver, and ivory. The chase was on. For 3 whole days, Bellamy's fleet hunted the speedy Whydah through the Windward Passage, a tricky stretch of water between Cuba and Hispaniola. The Whydah was fast, but Sam Bellamy was a smarter sailor. He used his smaller, quicker ships like a team. They didn't try to catch the Whydah head-on. Instead, they worked together to herd it, pushing it into a corner where it couldn't escape. The huge treasure ship was trapped, and Bellamy's greatest prize was finally within his grasp. The chase was over in a moment. After a 3-day pursuit, Bellamy fired a single warning shot from his cannons. The captain of the huge slave ship, the Whydah Gally, immediately surrendered without a fight. The prize was won. When Bellamy's crew boarded their new prize, they were stunned into silence. Below deck, they found something beyond their wildest dreams. This wasn't just a good haul. It was the treasure of a lifetime, the kind of fortune pirates only whispered about. The counting began. It took days. They found over 4.5 tons of gold and silver. That's heavier than a fully grown elephant. There were thousands upon thousands of Spanish coins, known as pieces of 8, glittering in the lantern light. But it got stranger. The ship also held precious African ivory and valuable blue dye called indigo. And most incredible of all, they found chests filled with beautiful, detailed gold jewelry made by the Akan people of Africa. It was a treasure from many corners of the world, all in one place. With this unbelievable fortune, Sam Bellamy was now the richest pirate in history. He made the mighty Whydah his new flagship. He finally had the wealth he promised to win for the woman he loved, Maria Hallett. He turned his new fleet north, sailing for home. The journey was meant to be a triumph. He was returning as a wealthy hero, but the ocean that had given Bellamy his fortune was about to turn against him. As the ships neared the coast of Cape Cod, the sky turned dark. A monstrous storm began to form. This was no ordinary squall. It was a perfect storm, a hurricane with terrifying power. Giant waves, as tall as buildings, crashed down on the ships. The wind screamed and tore the sails from the masts. The Whydah, weighed down by its treasure, was helpless. For more than 260 years, the story of the Whydah and its treasure was just a local legend. A ghost story told by families on Cape Cod about a pirate ship full of gold lost to the sea. It was a fun tale to tell. Except every part of it was true. In 1984, a real-life treasure hunter named Barry Clifford found it. After years of searching the ocean floor, his team located the wreckage of Bellamy's lost ship. Deep in the sand, they found the ultimate proof that the stories were real. They carefully lifted a heavy object from the seabed. It was the ship's bell. And as they cleaned away the grime of centuries, clear letters appeared, spelling out the ship's name, the Whydah Gally 1716. The legend was fact. The richest pirate treasure had been found. In 1984, an explorer named Barry Clifford stared at the waves off Cape Cod. He was looking for something everyone thought was just a story. For years, he searched the ocean floor, using old maps and new technology, hunting for the ghost of a legendary pirate ship. This was not just any shipwreck. It was the Whydah Gally, Sam Bellamy's famous flagship. Finding it would be like finding a key to the past. A real pirate ship, filled with real pirate treasure, proving the legends were true. It was a dream that drove him through every failed attempt. Then, one day, his scanners picked up a huge pile of metal. Divers went down into the cold, dark water. They found cannons. They found anchors. And then they found it, a heavy bronze bell, crusted over by the sea. When they carefully cleaned the bell, words appeared. It said, "The Whydah Gally 1716. This was it, the proof. For the first time, a real pirate shipwreck from the golden age of piracy had been discovered. The story of Sam Bellamy was no longer just a tale, and the treasure. It was beyond belief. Divers began to bring up mountains of gold and silver coins. There were more than 200,000 coins from all over the world. They found African gold jewelry and precious stones. It was the largest pirate treasure ever found. This incredible find proved that Sam Bellamy wasn't just a successful pirate. He was the richest of them all. The stories of his massive fortune were not exaggerated. They were real, and the proof was now sitting in the light of day after almost 300 years in the dark. Think about it. You can go to a museum today and see these very things. You can look at a coin that was held in a pirate's hand. You can see the tools they used, the plates they ate from, and even the small pistols they carried. These everyday objects tell a deeper story. They show us that these pirates were real people. They found shoes, silk stockings, and buttons. It shows a life that was about more than just fighting. It was about living freely, even if it was for a short time. The discovery of the Whydah changed everything we thought we knew. It took pirates out of storybooks and put them into history books. It showed that behind the myths were real adventures, real people, and real treasure. Sam Bellamy's journey, which started with a search for love and riches, ended in a storm. But his ship, resting on the ocean floor, held his story safe. It waited for centuries to show the world the amazing, true tale of the Prince of Pirates.